Inside the Deck is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, sellers of Magic the Gathering and many other card and board games. GatheringMagic.com, #1 resource on Magic the Gathering, strategy, and culture.
My name is Michael Augustine. Everybody calls me Augie. This is Maritocracy. So the deck revolves around Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. Dark Depths comes into play with 10 counters. If you pay 3 to remove 1, and then you remove all 10, you get a 20/20 indestructible flyer. Because the new Legend rule, you can sack the original Dark Depths to the new Legend rule, and then you can sack the Thespian Stage as a copy of Dark Depths with 0 counters to get the 20/20. So we have 20 hard tutors that just search out those 2 lands and get them into play. Beyond that, we've got fast mana in the form of Elvish and Simian Spirit Guides and Lotus Petal. And I've got a couple of cards to protect the combo. We use 4 main deck Pithing Needles, basically to stop Wasteland. And then Not of This World, which is a free counterspell for anything targeting the Merit Lage token, and Fling. The mana base is kind of a rainbow because we're still working on the sideboard. So I've got 4 Gemstone Mines, 4 City of Brasses. Everything in the deck is green with the exception of Fling. So I don't necessarily need anything more than red or green mana, but we talked about using Dread of Night and some other colored cards in the sideboard. But also, you get kind of an advantage in running these non-basics because sometimes those will draw the non-basic hate. If I play Eternal and City of Brass, a lot of times my opponents will wasteland it, which puts me way ahead because that means they're not wastelanding the Thespian Stage of the Dark Depths. Aside from that, I won 1 Snow-Covered Forest because I can end to the north for it, although the primary target's Dark Depths. 1 Pendelhaven and 1 Okina because they add green mana, but I don't want them to be forests because it keeps me safe from Submerge. Also, again, occasionally they draw the non-basic hate. So as far as the creatures in the deck, the only things I run are Simian Spirit Guides and Elvish Spirit Guides. They're predominantly there for fast mana. In a pinch, I've had to cast them to either stop a beatdown or occasionally to be sacrifice targets against Liliana of the Vale. We've got 2 Angel of Spares in the sideboard, but that's just against the Show and Tell decks. So built this about 3 weeks ago. Played a couple tournaments at Origins, learned some things. Originally I had just Snow-Covered Forest in there because one of the tricks you could do is if they try to wasteland your Thespian Stage, you can turn it into a forest. It'll make the wasteland visible. We moved away from that to get some more options in the deck. Fling was a last-minute addition last night. It's been very good. You get into some rough situations where they have perpetual blockers and they actually get a chance to deal with it because it's kind of a one-trick pony. But Fling gives a lot more reach. Basically, the board is still trying to figure out what the rough matchups are. Like, you're pretty cold to a Pithing Needle. That's actually one of the biggest problems in the deck. Thankfully, people aren't really running them a whole lot. So we're trying to shore up Pithing Needles out of the board. And then the combo you have to race with. So, like, if you can't win the coin flip against Storm, we've got Trinisphere, which tends to help out, at least just kind of level it off. Because the active cards in this deck are lands, they can't get Thoughtseize, they can't get counterspelled. So it's a great base to start from. Beyond that, I tried to go to the more glass cannon fast route. We've also talked about bringing in Knight of the Reliquary, Vampire Hexmage, Life in the Loam, and kind of playing to the long game in a more control deck. They're already using this combo as like a one-of in a couple of lands decks for that reason. For the most part, it's a blast. Basically, you get to spend a lot of time tutoring. Kind of feels like almost like what I imagine vintage decks to be like. So I've got 20 hard tutors to tutor up whatever you need. You can add some silver bullets to get fancy. Like we've got a Tabernacle on the board. You get to play quickly. It's got a good surprise factor right now, so a lot of people don't know some of the cards do. Every opponent's had to read Not of This World. But it's also cheap, and it's got a lot of options. So like because we have 4 Lotus Petal, 4 City Brass, 4 Gemstone Mine, the board can be pretty much anything we wanted. We're still trying to figure out the kinks on it, but it's got a lot of play. It's fast. You get to eat and talk to your friends. And it's kind of a crowd drawer. People tend to enjoy seeing Dark Depths go off.